2%. We have been unable as a government to compel China to restore status quo ante-April 2020 on the line of actual control. We have been unable to deter Pakistan. In the last 2 months alone, over 50 security personnel and about 10 civilian pilgrims have been killed in Jammu. Capital expenditure on military equipment, 1.7 lakh crores. On paper, this shows that it's almost a 10% increase. What we haven't taken into consideration is this increase was largely due to Russia's inability to supply contracted weapons to us because of the Ukraine war. If we take into account inflation and we take into account the rising dollar rate, we're almost flat. The gap between projections made by the armed forces and between actual allocation is 17 to 23%. That's the gap. कुर्सी बचाने में आप मस्त थे, देश को भी देखिए. We need close to 3%, 2.5 to 3% of GDP to defense. This is something that the country needs to look at. The Honorable Finance Minister started off her speech by talking about the focus on Annadata or farmers and how much this government has done for farmers. The Economic Survey of 24 says 42.3% of Indians depend on agriculture. That's 600 million people, that's 60 crore people. If I looked at the economic survey, 22nd July, very carefully. What did the headline say? The headline says, agricultural sector has registered an annual average growth rate of 4.18% in the last 5 years. But then I needed to read, and in the fine print was written that last year was only 1.4%. So 4.18 over last 5 years is anyway, when you compare it to inflation, is nothing. But when you compare last year's growth of only 1.4%, what is it saying for 60 crore of our people who depend on farming? Productivity and resilience in agriculture was one of the first themes, priority number 1, according to the Finance Minister's budget. She had made 9 priorities. This was priority 1. But the provision for agriculture and allied sectors is only 1,52,000 crores. Whereas the provision for one bullet train from Ahmedabad to Mumbai is 1,08,000 crores. Please look at the comparisons, everybody. Priority 2, Finance Minister said, is employment and skilling. This government has got the worst track record of creating jobs. India has more jobs in the informal sector, not in the formal sector. The budget is talking of an internship program with the top 500 companies. This is a joke. The top 500 companies employ 70 lakh people in total. That is 1% of the total workforce. Our workforce is about 57 crores. You are expecting companies which have a total which employ 70 lakh people to give employment to 1 crore interns. Please let us know how this is going to happen. I'm really curious. The real problem is somewhere else. The real problem is that 10.3 crore youth have basically become so dejected, they have given up looking for jobs. The Finance Minister, she mentions skilling loans, she mentions education loans. Skilling loans are for 25,000 people, education loans are for 1 lakh people. The country has 140 crore people. Now, what are we doing? Priority 3, according to the Finance Minister, inclusive human resource development and social justice. In this section, the budget says, first on Bihar, we will support expressways. What you're not saying is that you will make expressways which will charge very high tolls. So you are recovering the money, you're not doing anyone a favor. You're charging back-breaking tolls. You might give another bridge which might collapse. Yes. You will set up another power plant, which like Jharkhand may also be outsourced to a favorite businessman. Correct. He can be given a nice juicy PPA and sell more imported coal. Secondly, on Andhra, there are no grants, but only loans, that too from multilateral agencies. So basically, dollar loans will be given to Andhra Pradesh, which future generations will have to pay back with interest. There was also another sweeping statement. Grants for backward regions of Rayalaseema, Prakasam and North Coastal Andhra, as stated in the Act, will be provided. I looked in the entire demand for grants with a tooth comb, with a microscope. And I looked at the expenditure budget, nothing was provided anywhere. I don't see the intelligent people of Andhra being fooled by this. Priority 4, manufacturing and services. The Finance Minister has devoted an entire section on how MSMEs are a priority. I believe her, yes, it should be a priority. But I'm very confused. Most medium and small enterprises are either proprietorships or partnerships. Madam, can you please explain why these proprietorships and partnerships are taxed at higher rates than companies? This makes no sense. Is the A-team the only businesses who are sending truckloads and tempo loads? MSMEs are not sending. Is that the problem? And also the government needs to get rid of the bizarre 29A of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, because it is killing companies that are in trouble. It does not allow promoters to propose a resolution plan. As long as we have this code, promoters cannot propose a resolution plan. We need to get rid of this. Priority 5 in the Finance Minister's speech, urban development. The Prime Minister had said every citizen will get a house by 2022. We are now in 2024 and we are still making allocation for 3 crore more houses. Yes. Can you please tell us how many more houses we need and when it's going to be done? Let's get this over with.
2047.
Priority 6, energy security. The less I speak about this, the better it is. Energy security is security for best friends. It's created by allowing best friends to import low-grade quality coal, mark it up as high-grade quality coal, and sell it to state development corporations at the cost of the country's environment, at the cost of the health of our citizens.
Only 9.48 lakhs has been spent, ma'am. So almost 52,000 crores was not even spent on the capital expenditure. So I request the Finance Ministry to actually look into it. Having the capital expenditure of 11 lakhs or 11.5 lakhs is one thing, but actually spending it on the ground is a different thing. So I hope the Finance Ministry will look into it. And the second point being, ma'am, with respect to a lot of members have raised this point with regards to the reduction of long-term capital gain tax from 20% to 12%, ma'am. And they also mentioned about the indexation. A lot of members have been mentioned about this, ma'am. And there's a lot of talk also outside. So I hope and I expect the Finance Minister to look into it, so that because this is hard taxpayers' money, ma'am. Also, middle class people are being affected on this, ma'am. So I think there should be a relook at this indexation, so that middle class people, because they think real estate is one thing that they can safely invest in. So we feel it should be protected. I hope the Finance Minister will listen to this, ma'am. Also, coming to the third point, my colleague Mahua Moitra has mentioned very agitatedly that I don't know where the funds are coming from Andhra Pradesh, because she didn't see anything, any special allocation that was made. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it has been mentioned in Department of Economic Affairs, wherein 62,000 crores has been earmarked for the entire amount has been earmarked for capital expenditure, as also for the new schemes that have been announced, ma'am. So I hope and I wish this Purvodaya scheme, which has been announced for Andhra Pradesh and all the other eastern states that my colleague has mentioned, I hope this 62,000 crores will be given to us, and majority will be given to Andhra Pradesh, ma'am. And coming to the point number 4, ma'am, with regards to the clauses, which are from clauses from 88 to 99, which deal with the Vivad Se Vishwas. This has been a scheme which has been in effect for the last 4 years. This is used by a lot of taxpayers as well as a lot of industry people also, ma'am. This has been a successful scheme. But the problem right now that we should revisit is, I've been reading that clauses, ma'am, but nowhere in those clauses there is no mention of timelines has been mentioned. Because I'm looking for them, because almost 5.4 lakh income tax appeals are pending at the commissionerate level, ma'am. We can only address this when we have a timeline defined in those clauses. I hope Finance Ministry will look into it and try to address this issue, ma'am. And also, coming to the point number 5, ma'am, with regards to the healthcare, we have done amazingly well in the last 10 years or so. Numerous medical colleges, AIIMS has been developed, and also number of postgraduate seats has been increased. But we should, but there's a 18% GST on health insurance policy. Ma'am, if you look at the percentage of people having life insurance, there's 75% of them are having life insurance.